I am not going to lie. I am sweating like crazy. So this week I am doing the public transportation in Fort Collins, Colorado. And it is a steep learning curve, to say the least. Now, I will say I'm actually been super pleasantly surprised with the Fort Collins buses and all of the routes. And like anything, I think there just is a barrier until you overcome some of the fear of the unknown. And then once that fear is kind of displaced and you're able to understand really anything in life, it just takes time. But I will say, and I will go in depth with this video that's coming out probably in about a month from now when I'm done recording and editing and all that good stuff. But I just got done having to walk 40 minutes, 2 miles, because on the South Transit Center, there was a bus I was late to one because one was 12 minutes late and then I was 3 minutes late. But then the scoreboard said, we're going to be, that's weird. Sorry about this. The board said it's going to be here in 5 minutes. Didn't come, gave it another 10 minutes. And then I was like, I need to get going. Otherwise I'm going to be way late to this live recording. And I am late. So I apologize. And then I had to, of course, I went from 12 o'clock to 2:30 to try to organize my schedule. So this week is definitely in flux and I don't know how to control that. And I don't know if I can. And that might be one of the things that I talk about is you've got to have flexibility and understanding that things are not going to go perfect if you are going to be riding that bus system. But this is live in Fort Collins, and we're going to talk to you guys about all the things that are happening in Fort Collins, City Council review, developments, and things that you can do this weekend or this week, which is Bike to Work Week, which is hilarious because I am going to potentially bike to work, but I think I'm going to really pour into this bus system and public transit that we have because I've done the bike thing for a week and know the trail system, done bike videos, but I've never really poured into the public transit. So maybe that's what we do all week this week. All right, let's get going. And I'm still finishing up a cold. This last weekend, Janae and I did the Lake Triathlon. If you are looking for a relatively flat road race, you can do a sprint, Olympic length, and it's relatively flat. But you can do it's 750 meter swim, 15-mile bike, and then a 5K. It was great. It was beautiful. Definitely going to do it again, not last year, but Lake to Lake was this last weekend. And our understanding is there is no Lone Tree Triathlon this year, which is kind of, it's on the Lone Tree Reservoir, so a little bit further south, Loveland, kind of entry-level triathlon again. Sprints, I think, only. I don't think they do the Olympic length at the Lone Tree. But this last week, we had clients in, and we were looking at a property that was coming along, that brought along with it one share of the North Poudre irrigation water system, which water is so very unique and something that I really don't touch on. A great book out there is Colorado Water Rights for the Non-Lawyer. So it talks to you about aquifers, the water system, the history, kind of all of that good stuff. So just giving you a high level, but it is extremely in-depth, and there's a water court, water attorneys. So I definitely don't play around in that realm, but there was a property that was coming along with it with the availability to purchase one share of that North Poudre irrigation. And so I called in and asked, what does that necessarily equate to? And those shares are selling for $250,000 per share and service anywhere between 4 to 6 acre feet per year. And which essentially 1 acre foot could serve 3 to 4 single family houses. So if you had that share of water, you could build anywhere between, 12 to 24 homes, depending on, all of the different rules and regulations. But there was a big transfer of shares sold at the Carlson Family Trust for the Colorado Big Thompson shares. Now, each share produces 1 acre-foot of water, and they were selling for nearly $60,000 per share, or over $60,000 per share, excuse me. And tons of shares were being sold. Almost 150 shares of water were being sold, and a big purchaser of that was the Little Thompson Water District. So water in Fort Collins, Northern Colorado is an extremely vital resource. We are looking about how we could do xeriscaping, how water saving developments, and all of the rules and regulations around that, city use of water. So I would say if there's a conversation that's probably going to be the most important over the next 25 to 50 years in Northern Colorado, it will be surrounding water. With the growth of the area, everything along those lines, and the importance of that resource, along with seemingly, some climate issues that are reducing some of that water flow. Now, we've had a couple of years of very strong watersheds, but that could change very quickly with a little bit of a drought. So, all righty, moving forward, City Council, and I've talked about this a few times before, and I don't want to come off, and animal cruelty is absolutely something that I don't think should be tolerated. But City of Fort Collins has enough problems to have to worry about seemingly one retail, pet store. And they're wanting to ban the sales of dogs and cats from puppy mills, which I don't disagree with at all. And maybe it's super simple, but the amount of conversations around it, not a ton, but enough to where I'm like, all right, come on, like let's worry about something else, or make this, I don't even know. I have a hard time with it, but it seems like there's enough support from city council members to put this ordinance in play, vote on, and essentially would be banning the sale of kitties and cats and dogs from puppy mills. Poudre School District, man, maybe I should be watching those meetings more than city council, because it's all extremely important stuff. So I don't want to discredit anything, but I just am confused with, they are, doing these consolidations, boundary movements, and then they're talking about building a $50 million school. And I'm all about raising teacher pay, except there was a part in here that suggested that we are facing a, let's see here. What was it? We are anticipating a loss of $6.9 million in state funding, and the staff reductions are expected and will primarily account for the loss of funding. So $6.9 million worth of salaries are potentially going to be cut for Poudre School Districts, while they are also increasing pay for those employees. It gets progressive. So if you've worked for 10 years, you get one increase, 15, 20, and 25 years, which is awesome. So it gives value for loyalty. But the starting pay for a Poudre School District employee will, with a bachelor's degree and no additional college credit, will start at $54,329, which, if you had two teachers just starting out making $100,000, a married couple, it's not bad by any means. It's not amazing for Fort Collins. I don't know what the number is to really make Fort Collins a healthy lifestyle as far as a living wage. I want to say anecdotally 125 to 150. So each person making about $60,000 in a dual income household. But two people making $10,000 can very much afford rent here, possibly buy a home, definitely buy a home in Wellington, Windsor, Loveland, maybe Timnath. So surrounding areas, which then obviously they have to commute in. And but Poudre School District, I for how much I talk very strongly how good they are on their schools, their extracurriculars, their teachers, all that kind of stuff. They definitely have some challenges with their budget, and I'm sure, I am hopeful, will come out on the other side of this successful and being able to get through it. But shoot, having to cut $6 million seemingly of staff, and then doing the increase, and are going to have to figure out this budget deficit that they do have. Some fun news: Estes Park Candy Shop voted the sweetest in America. So this is the taffy shop, which my dad goes up. He is a candy fiend, loves getting himself some candy, and has been going up and getting taffy for as long as I've been around. And I'm not a big taffy person, except I do love cinnamon taffy and a few others. Peppermint, I don't know why. I guess I kind of like the minty taffy. But other than that, it was voted the best candy shop in the United States by USA Today, which is super cool. So congratulations to the taffy shop. If you are visiting and you're exploring Northern Colorado, Fort Collins, and you go up to Rocky Mountain National Park or walk around Estes Park, which a lot of people do, go visit the taffy shop. It's a cool little downtown to walk through. My family and I parked up there just to walk around the downtown, eat some food, and explore the area. And just a cute, quaint little downtown area. But the taffy shop, coming in hot. All righty. So there was a House Bill 24-1007, which is essentially was passed, signed into law, essentially not allowing municipalities to put in law ordinances that discriminate against familial status, which in Fort Collins was the U+2 rule. This was the only thing on the city council docket to review and discuss. And it was kind of a no-brainer as far as having to adopt it, because it's Colorado state law. Their big brother. They're going to dictate kind of some of the things that we can do. But there was some discussion about what was the history of this. And Kelly Olson was a huge proponent of the U+2 rule, and specifically kind of around the Roland Mower neighborhood, and was suggesting that before this law was in place, neighborhoods were, running amok, falling apart, cars all over the place, trash, noise, and they put this U+2 rule in play, and basically like a magic bullet kind of fixed the situation. And his theory is that in a couple of years, we're actually going to revert back to something along these lines, to where they can prohibit how many people can live in a house because of the neighborhood livability and, securing the safety security of these neighborhoods. And that being said, the majority of council voted this. I believe it was 6-1, or 5-1 with one absent. But here are the things that needed to get changed for us to come into compliance. We replaced the word family with our current land use code. We replaced the word family with the word unit, removing the occupancy section 3.8.16 and any reference to that section, removing references to group homes, associated requirements, and removing the definition from the document, and removing references to extra occupancy, which is super interesting. So over the past 20 plus years, if there was a house that was used as a rental, excuse me, my ears had a pop, that was used as a rental, and somebody wanted to have an extra person to live there, they had to go through an entire development review and pay thousands of dollars. And even as late as this last year and early this year, there were developments under review allowing having a house go through extra occupancy. I mean, if I was one of those owners, I'd want to come back and ask for a refund. Not that City of Fort Collins knew that the state was going to do that per se, but now all houses can be extra occupancy in all of Colorado, not just Fort Collins, all of Colorado. So, now there was an interesting little comment made by Julie Pignataro, council member Pignataro, who said the rental registration is in effect. So if you have a rental, you have to register. They're going to give a huge grace period. I don't think my team and I have started yet, or maybe even gotten any information on how to do it, but there's a huge grace period. But the registering of rentals throughout Fort Collins. So if your property is a rental, it has to be registered. And apparently that was all that. Now, I didn't read the entire law, but apparently that was really all it was. It was just like a rental registry to know who the owners were and what the use of the property was, so that if there was issues, they could reach out. But she kind of made a comment that left you uneasy. And I've also heard other people rumbling about this rental registration, how it actually has some teeth and people could be in a world of hurt. And she said, once the rental registry takes place, we are going to know who the bad landlords are. And so somehow violations or an ease of communication from tenants to the city. And regardless, she was pretty certain that was going to take place. And I will say that I know that there are plenty of people who use their property, not plenty, I know a few, I should say, who use their property. Let's say it's a commercial building or a residential building, and they're using it for a commercial use. Well, that would absolutely kind of raise a red flag for the rental registration, and then you have to come into compliance or use it as its intended use. So super interesting as far as all of that goes. But it did pass as of July 1st. No more occupancy restrictions in all of Colorado. And so if you have a 4-bedroom house, 4-bedroom, 2-bedroom split level, you could rent out all 4 bedrooms to 4 different individuals that don't have the same last name. So that went into effect. Alrighty, some things to do. Summer Bike to Work Day, June 26th. Essentially 9:30 a.m. To 6:30 to 9:30, and then 4 to 6 p.m. So ride your bike to work, go have lunch, go meet friends, just ride in general. Free breakfast, giveaways. Essentially, it's just kind of, again, Fort Collins' push towards showing, hey, all of the routes, platinum level bike community, one of 5 in the United States. There are wonderful ways of using this system between public transit, biking, whatever, but you don't have to use your car if you don't want to, and get those cars and vehicles off the road. Now, I would have loved to have a bike today when I was like, oh gosh, but well, that 2-mile bike wasn't the end of the world, but I mean, I am still, I mean, you can see it. That's still sweat. I mean, you can kind of see the backpack marks, but I would have loved to have a bike at that transit center where I seemingly missed that flex route that was 3 or 4 minutes, late to that. So anyways, long story short, go ride your bike on June 26th, Bike to Work Day. Bike MS Colorado. I have a family member who's got MS, and I had 2 family members who had done this each year. Essentially, it's a ride from Colorado Springs to Fort Collins, and then Fort Collins back to Colorado Springs, is I believe what the route used to be. I'm not sure what it is now, but it's a 2-day event, and it's to bring awareness to multiple sclerosis. And so I'm guessing you probably would have already had to sign up for it, or maybe you can still sign up for it, but it's June 29th and June 30th, Colorado State University campus at 6 a.m. So maybe they're starting in Fort Collins this year and going to Colorado Springs, or I don't know what that route is, but it is to raise awareness for MS. There's a Holes and Hops cornhole tournament, June 29th. It's $150 per cornhole team, but there's lots of prizes. That's going to be at the Colorado Youth Outdoors. And that's kind of it as far as, things that are going on in Fort Collins, things that happen, city council review. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little, disoriented because I'm not in my normal routine. Slept in a little bit because the first bus I couldn't get to until 6:55 unless I took that 2-mile walk, and then I could get on that bus at 5 o'clock. But it was fun. I took the Flex route today. I took the Max Transit line. I took Route 18. I took Route 5. So definitely learning the routes in Fort Collins, and it's wonderful. I would say you just have to be able to not stress over things, because I couldn't stop looking at my watch. I'm like, where's the bus? It's 10 minutes, 11 minutes, 12 minutes late. And one of my favorite things when I was in London was taking their public transportation. It was phenomenal. It was never late. Walk on, get on, go. Fort Collins is not that, but it's actually not bad. And some of the tools. So definitely stay tuned for that video coming out here in a few weeks. But next week we'll be back at 12 o'clock. I'm going to have my ducks in a row, ready to go, not run late. So I appreciate you guys watching. And until next time, take care, guys. Have a great day.